welcome to BALLBUSTERS Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Now, we're dropping anchor on Coriolis effect, but I'll do a quick introduction to all of the BALLBUSTERS. So we've got Betty Van Velsen, Quantum Eraser, Adam Meakin, and Paula, otherwise known as Bible Literalist. Very good to have you one and all.
Hello.
Hello.
Ahoy hoy.
I think Adam might be a mouth full of food at the moment, so if we don't get a hello from Adam. In fact, I'm going to... No.
Evening. Yeah, I just cleared me chops. Good evening, everyone.
Excellent. Now, we're also, in spirit at least, going to have a presentation from Ranty Flat Earth. Now, he was intending to be on the show live today, but has actually done a pre-recorded presentation. So while that was going to be on the top of the bill, it's now going to be pushed like the dead donkey it is to the back. No, I'm only joking. It is an absolutely glorious presentation, so definitely stick around till the end. The other thing is there's a public link in the info box below this video, so if you do want to join after each of the points that are raised on the show, we will open the conversation up to the public. So there are already a few people, regulars admittedly, in Discord, but if you do want to join and challenge anything that's being stated, you can. We'll raise the mic on the various guests after each point, and you can express your views given what we have been discussing. So I know there's a presentation that's aside from Coriolis and Ranty's presentation that's going to go first from John. But before you do, is there anybody else? I know we didn't have a proper official BALLBUSTERS pre-show meeting, so is there anything else that goes before John, or are we happy to launch straight into John's pre-presentation, if you will?
When do we have an official BALLBUSTERS meeting? We just do this off the cuff every time anyway.
And whoever goes before John. I mean, no one, right?
Nathan, I'm happy just to go ahead and maybe just interject with a mini presentation halfway through.
If you can do it specifically when he's made a really important point that needs rounding up, that'd be great.
He was forward, he gotcha.
So, shout out to Eagle Plane and Anchor, who says shout out to Ron Burgundy for some reason. Thank you very much for the super chat, Eagle Plane and Anchor.
How ironic! How ironic that is. Just wait.
Should I bring you up? Should I present you?
We want no small talk?
No small talk? Well, that's kind of what I was asking. Is there going to be any small talk beforehand? That's kind of what I'm asking.
I'll give you a bit, because I did you see last night Chocolate on Iron Realm?
I did. I hung around the whole time. It was great.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah, one of my most favourite shows in a long time. It was old school IRM, just sitting there chatting, meeting someone, and the stuff he came out with, I just thought was, no. And I thought it was just, because we chatted in the week and he did pull that out of his backside. It was just fantastic where the conversation went. So yeah, shout out Chocolate.
Yeah, shout out Retracted. I got a bone to pick with him. I sent him a message. I got a bone to pick with him. I sent him a message. We'll talk about it on Monday, me and Vanilla.
I mean, what I like about Chocolate, in the debate at least, is his ability to concisely sum up a subject in about 3 breaths and then just go back on mute and, you know, just leave you a bit dumbfounded or laughing or whatever. But it was nice to actually hear him chit-chat, you know, in a more open way. So it was really, you know, big shout-out to Chocolate regardless of the retraction from QE. I'm going to give you a big shout-out anyway. It was great.
It was a tongue-in-cheek retraction.
Indeed. Shout out to Joshua Doyle for hitting the super chat. It says, get over the Trekkie wet dream, Globies. Indeedy.
Is that it? That's all the small talk, huh?
Everyone's excited for your presentation. That's what it is.
No, but that's nonsense. Don't be blowing some fake sunshine up the end. I know it'll get things going. For the females on the panel, let's try and guess their weights.
Oh, God. No, please don't. Or age. Let's not have any of the pre-show insults carry on into the live show.
All right, yeah, listen. Yeah, if there's not anything else, you can go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Let me know when it's up.
Yep. Ready to rock.
Yeah, so about 20 minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes ago, I said, wait a second. I heard some nonsensical comments yesterday after your presentation on Ranty's show, and it was the usual suspects. But they said some stupid stuff, so I want to outline them here to kick off the show. So we'll start with that knucklehead Gem Panda. This is what he said. Tim Osman, you should rebut this with a 10-second presentation where you say logical and informal fallacies are only applicable in a formal debate. I couldn't believe he wrote it down, right? Hey, Crayon Muncher, logical fallacies encapsulate both informal and formal fallacies, doofus. I mean, just hammer the C4 fire. That's all you have to do is you just have to sit back and wait for them to open up their incoherent pie holes. And it indicts them every single time. And can someone use an informal logical fallacy in a formal debate, Jim? You know what you are? This is what you are. Right? Here's you. Everyone knows it. This is just painfully redundant at this point. And then we had Georgie, the Pontiff Maximus from Retardia. He had to put his 2 cents worth in. This is what he had to say. Energy inputted to the Earth from the sun reduces entropy locally here on the Earth. Oh, really, George? The sun is the greatest entropy generator the world has ever seen. You retard. You're a perfect candidate. I'll tell you what. Everyone knows this. I mean, midsummer in Texas, the sun will friggin' burn a tire, clean off a tractor, right? It'll destroy the roof of your car and the bonnet, right? If you don't do something to protect it. Why? Because it's increasing entropy. And you're a perfect candidate for my skivvies experiment, right? This one right here. So what I want you to do, I want you to take your old wrinkly ass on the first flight out of Egypt, wherever you're at, head on down to either Hawaii, Texas, or Florida. This is what we want you to do. From 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock for a whole week, we want you to strip down to your skivvies, the underwear, skivvies experiment, that's why it's called that. And we want you to lay out in the sun from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Now, we don't want you to vapor lock, so we'll give you a little bit of food. We'll definitely have some water for you. So each day we want you to do that. Now, at the end of the week, we want you to tell us if your skin has increased or decreased in entropy. Clown show. You know what you are? This is what you are. Kissing sisters with Gem. Mr. Closed thermos is an open system. I don't know which one's worse. I really don't. Oh, do you want me to stop with a couple of these? You got any comments on this? You would just want me to roll?
No, I will stop for a little bit just so I can shout out a couple of super chats. So shout out to Johnny Doyle again. Thank you for a globe. Convince me the spinning monkey globe actually exists. Indeed, do with £6.66. Shout out also to Retro Bill. Chocolate saying versus Eric debate cage match coming soon. If you say so. Thank you for the super chat though, Retro Bill. Really do appreciate it. I remember actually responding to Gem Panda's comment on the show live, because it was obviously from the chat. And I said, well, so are you saying that if I go and post a logical fallacy or plaster one on a billboard, it suddenly stops being fallacious because it's not an informal debate? What an absolutely absurd comment.
Right. What an idiot, right? Unbelievable, man. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he said this. They're just displaying their ignorance everywhere. It's getting so stupefying now. It's almost laughable. So I love it. Keep on talking. What do we got? We skipped one. Okay, are you done with that?
Yeah, do you want me to put you back up again?
Yeah. What do you guys think of my skivvies experiment?
I don't want to bum, so I'm good.
This is an old one, brother. This is from old-timey. This is from my evolution days. They hated that skivvies experiment, boy. But I couldn't bring it out to a better guy.
Sorry, did you say that George had actually said that it decreases entropy? Reduces entropy? My God, George. My God.
Oh boy, he just doesn't understand it. I'm not going to explain it to him. So do I get a thumbs up from my Skibbies experiment panel members?
Yeah.
You like my Skibbies experiment? Come on, I need some positive reinforcement with this to keep on using it.
Well, maybe you need to explain what happens if you lay out in the sun too long.
Oh, I need to explain that.
Entropy will increase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they'll say that burnt skin is not entropy, I guess. I don't know.
Who knows?
Tell that to an ant under a magnifying glass.
All right, we ready?
I'm just pondering on it, John, just to, because I was trying to mitigate for him, trying to comprehend the point, and the only thing I can think is it is that obviously the sun's putting energy into the system, but all that does is allow entropy to occur with that energy that's been inputted, for it to allow entropy to flow again. So I still don't understand why it's considered how he's considering it, because
I understand, because he's a knucklehead, because he's thinking, well, plants use the sun's energy to reduce entropy. Yeah, but you forgot two important things, right? Number one, it has to be the right energy, the right amount, and you have to have DNA. That means you have to have the instructions on what to do with that energy, to capture it and to convert it into usable energy, right? That's what I'm giving him too much credit for that. He might be thinking of that. But this statement on its face is moronic.
Yeah, well, you've got it in bold type underneath. Greatest entropy generator the world has ever seen. Yeah, it's generating entropy increase. To say it reduces entropy is absolutely ludicrous. Love it.
Yeah.
Graham Munches.
Yeah, I think you are giving him probably too much credit there.
Yes, I know I am.
I think to suggest that he's thinking about a biological machine that uses that energy to just basically upgrade before entropy kicks in again, I think it's beyond that.
We might go over that. I don't know if I've gone over that before. I think we talked about Tulot in depth a little bit before, but we didn't really go down that road. I might do that here in the next few weeks, just to, I don't know. I'll think about it. So, moving on. Like you said, ironically, somebody, what did they super chat? Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, it was Eagle Plane and Anchor said to shout out Ron Burgundy.
Isn't that ironic? I had him in this presentation. As soon as somebody said that, I said, how ironic is that? Yeah. We had a comment from Globe Agent Ron Burgundy. You know what he said? The scientific method is a myth.
That's beautiful right there. Beautiful.
This is the point where these crayon munchers are at now. Now they must deny science. I love this. I seen that. I said, thank you. And it just so happened to be Ron Burgundy. Too funny.
Is that 3 for 3?
What's that?
You said you got 3.
I got one more.
Oh, okay. I only asked because Ranty's now on the call, which is perfect.
Oh, yeah. I seen him. We're going to get to him in a minute. I got the last one, the rumpus. Why doesn't high pressure flow to low pressure? Well, it does. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Meteorologists call the result of that wind. Blowbag. You friggin' retard, air is not the atmosphere. I can't believe you said that. I mean, I don't know. I got going. I'm speechless.
Yeah, he's just laying his foundation to have an argument about the pressure gradient. That's all that is. It's a ham-handed segue into saying, well, there's low pressure above the high pressure at ground level. You know, I mean, it's an easy rebuttal. You say, well, that's where the gases are generated in the first instance. I mean, that's the literal reason why that occurs.
Yeah, but that's not why. Look, listen to his statement. Why doesn't high pressure flow to low pressure?
It does.
That's what it does. It doesn't flow the other way. This is entropy. Unbelievable. Okay, I seen Ranty joined. Hey, Ranty, right? After bowel movement furball got compromised about 2 minutes after his presentation was over by Adam and Nathan, I figured it was free game to ask him anything. So I kept asking this question right here in the chat, which you didn't even mention, right? Here's the question I want answered. Since you didn't want to say it, I'm going to say it now. So BM, if we descended from monkeys, then why do we still have globetards? That's my question. So Ranty didn't want to post it, so I did. How about that? Over to you guys.
Hey, Ranty, by the way.
Hi, yeah, I've just joined off my phone, although I won't really be on very much. I've spent so much time on Flat Earth in the past couple of weeks. I'm going to spend the evening with the missus, but I've actually done the presentation. Did you see it in the chat on BALLBUSTERS?
I've got it queued up. Are we okay to play it now?
Yeah, of course, yeah, whenever you want. Yeah, it's I just got in. The car broke down again today for another time, so I'm really pissed off. So we got towed back by the AA. So I'm kind of like just over it now. So I've just done a presentation. It's only about 15 minutes, I think. And yeah, if you want to play it, it's absolutely brilliant. And it's all to do with this: the Birmingham Telecom BT Tower in Birmingham. Now then, massive thank you. Shout out to Level Earth Observer, who actually found this absolute gem, an absolute gem. Now, if there's, let's everyone go over here and subscribe. He has 1.7k subscribers. He's always rooting around and sniffing some juicy stuff out. So it's absolutely in everybody's interest to go over and support the channel, because obviously he wants to show what he's found. You can be the first guys to actually see this, and I highly recommend going over, subscribing, and seeing all the other good stuff that he has on his channel too. So Level Earth Observer. Anyway, so within the past week he's put this video out about the BT Tower in Birmingham, and it's golden, absolutely golden. I mean, it's more than golden, it's a slam dunk. So back in the 1960s, this BT Tower, I'll bring it up here, BT Tower in Birmingham was built. I think it was actually first started operations in, I think it was about 1966, or maybe even 1967, but essentially it was before the moon landings, let's just put it that way, hint in brackets, the moon landings. Anyway, BT Tower Birmingham. Here's this big eyesore over here. I'll just click this image so that you can see it. Quite a big building. As you can see, it's got these towers at the top. Obviously you've got your staircases going up. You've got all the antennas and everything like that, the dishes at the top up here. And there's a reason that they built it this high. They built it this high. Let me just zoom in. They built it this high, obviously, so they could communicate with other towers. Now, in order to communicate back in the 60s, they used to use microwave radio transmissions. So they would be what was the form of communication. So this tower could handle things like television and telephone calls, things like that. So in order to transmit between this tower and another tower, let's say this tower over here in London, let's show you what this one looks like. So in order for these to communicate with these dishes, etc., all around, they needed a direct line of sight. Simple as that. Because the form of communication that they had required a direct line of sight. It's not like using the curvature calculator where they include this 76R nonsense. Essentially, the waves that they were using had to have a direct line of sight. Now, I'm going to show you this lady here. Her name's Molly Mackenzie, and I'll give you a little rundown about who she is and what she's done. So if we go over to her LinkedIn page, this is Molly Mackenzie, and she's a chartered civil engineer from Nottingham in the UK. Currently, her position is Regional Director for the Institute of Civil Engineers from July 2015 to December 2018, 3 years, 6 months, East Midlands and West Midlands. If we go down to her education, you can see that she has a Master of Engineering, Civil Engineering in 1998-2003 from the University of Bristol. So she is highly qualified. And when she released this video over here on, I'll show you in a minute, on the ICE website, we will see what she has to say about this tower in Birmingham. So 2015 to 2018, Regional Director, Institute of Civil Engineers, East Midlands and West Midlands. Now, if we go over to the ice.org.uk, which is for the civil engineers, what you're going to do is you're going to listen to what she has to say about this tower in the background. So obviously this is a video that you can watch on YouTube. You could search it out, or you could go to this site here and look it up. But essentially she'll be talking about this tower. Let's listen to what she's got to say.
Before the introduction of the fibre network, telecom towers across the country formed the backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
So essentially she's just said exactly what I just said before. Let me just rewind it a tad so that you can listen to that again. Just listen to how she phrases this actual structure.
The backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
One last time.
When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
Cool. So, there we have it from the horse's mouth. This lady who has a master's degree in civil engineering and is also was the regional director of the East Midlands and West Midlands when she did this video, telling you that the Birmingham Tower had a direct line of sight with the London Tower. That's what she told you, that's what she said. And there's a reason that these buildings were built so big. Let's take a look at them, these ugly structures. They were built this big for the exact reason that she's just said. They needed direct line of sight to communicate with each other. Okay, let's go a little bit further. We're going to go to 2 minutes and 40 and listen to what she says here.
Force of it swaying the structure. A stable platform is necessary so that the microwave dishes mounted on the side of the structure keep that line of sight with the remote transmitter they are communicating with.
And one last time, so we hear that again.
A stable platform is necessary so that the microwave dishes mounted on the side of the structure keep that line of sight with the remote transmitter they are communicating with.
Okie dokie then. So she's doubling down. They have direct line of sight with each other. Right, let's have a look at these buildings. So, I've actually already plotted them on. The one in Birmingham and the one in London. If you want me to scroll in just so that I can show you this, I really don't mind, just bear with me. So there's the BT Tower in Birmingham, you can see it here on Google Earth. And if we scroll over to London down here, we have the BT Tower of London. So let me just show you this too. And here it is. Right, so if we do a line measurement on this, we're going to go to properties, and let me drag that across so you guys can see this, and we'll go to the measurements. It's 100 miles. It's actually 100.5 miles, but Google Earth just says 100, so I'm not too fussed about the 0.5, but just for absolute clarity, it is 100.5. Anyway, okay on that. Let's have a look at the elevation profile. So, from the Birmingham BT Tower here, we're looking around about 128 metres above sea level. That would be the floor. So the floor would be 128 metres above sea level. And then obviously you've got all this terrain up and down. You've got quite a steep hill here, which goes up to 167 metres. And then obviously all the way down here. And then the BT Tower in London is way down here, so just some 28 metres above sea level. So it's quite a way lower than these mountains and stuff that are around in this location here. Well, what I've done is, let's go back to the BT Tower of Birmingham, and let's go to its properties and see how big it actually is. So the BT Tower in Birmingham is to the roof 152 metres. If we go to the BT Tower in London, to the basically the top of the antenna is 191 metres. So we've got all the details that we need here. We've got the heights of the buildings, we've got the heights above sea level, and we have the terrain in between. Well, I've already prepared this so that you guys can have a little look. And what I've done is I've scaled the BT Tower in Birmingham and I've scaled the BT Tower in London to their relative heights in relation to this graph. So 152 metres and 191 metres, and I've placed them on the floor where they would be. And as you can see, if we get the line curve out, the line measure out, let's do it in the colour. It doesn't really matter. And obviously there's where the dishes are there. There's where the dishes are here. Oh, look at that. Dish to dish. And it really is, it's close. It's close with this building here, this hill here, but they just clear it. They just clear it. Now, if we go back to that Molly Mackenzie in her video, she actually states that they actually wanted to build this tower taller, but they were refused permission because of the planes that were flying in the vicinity, and they were worried that the planes might strike them. So what they needed to do, being engineers, was they needed to work out the absolute minimum height needed to clear a direct line of sight between London and Birmingham. And that's what they did. And that's why they were able to come out with a measurement of 152 metres. So what we have here is a direct line of sight between London. The problem is, this is on a flat graph. This is a flat graph. This isn't taking into account any curvature of the Earth. Now, let's have a look at the curvature calculator. We're going to put in, well, let me just reduce that back to 100, because I'm not going to argue over half a mile. Distance in miles, 100 miles. The viewer height in feet is 918. Let's just double check that with meters. 280. Now 280, we get that value because the height above sea level is 128, and the building itself, the structure to the top, is 152. So that's 280 meters. So if you're on the top of the building, 280 meters above sea level, and you're trying to look at Birmingham, sorry, if you're trying to look at London, which has a height of 191 meters plus 37 above sea level, which would be 228. The problem is the drop. The problem is the drop, because we are talking about line of sight. We're not talking about an observation, we're talking about pure line of sight. So the geometric drop, using the geometry of the Earth, the geometric drop is 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers drop. That's how much the ground has dropped. If you believe in a sphere, let's go down to the little ball here. This part of the sphere, the drop between point A and point B, this drop is 2 kilometers. The problem being is that the tower at London sits just 228 meters high. So how are they having a direct line of sight? Let's go back to this. How have they got a direct line of sight between Birmingham and London if there's a 2 kilometer geometric drop, physical blockage between this building, which would be some 2 kilometers down behind these hills? How have they got a direct line of sight? They cannot have direct line of sight on a ball. That is an absolute fact. They cannot have direct line of sight on a ball. They can only have direct line of sight on a flat plane. Pure and simple. And as you can see, it's just high enough to get over this hill, just high enough for those dishes to communicate with each other. And that was the bare minimum that they needed back in the 1960s. Now these civil engineers back then, they didn't need to account for earth curve. They weren't thinking that some 50 years down the line, this earth curve calculator and flat versus globe was going to explode onto the internet. They're engineers. That's all they are. They're engineers, they have a problem, they figure it out, and it works. And it only works on a flat plane. It cannot work on a globe. This would not have worked. If they had to build it for direct line of sight on a globe, this building over here, this Birmingham building, would have to be over 2 kilometers high to have direct line of sight with London. Now this is the most conclusive proof you are likely to come across ever. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, this destroys the globe argument completely. Absolutely. This is probably, like I say, as I said it earlier on, this will be the best flat earth proof that you're going to see most likely on this channel all year. And let me remind you guys, I really want you to go over and sub to Level Earth Observer, who brought this to the attention of everybody. And it's been a pleasure showing this to you guys because, I mean, this is undeniable. This isn't an observation. This is absolute concrete line of sight told to you by the engineer over here, Molly Mackenzie, who has a master's degree, masters in civil engineering, and at the time was the regional director of the Institute of Civil Engineers in the location. And he's telling you way back here, let's go back, let's just listen one last time. Let's just listen one last time.
Telecom tower. Before the introduction of the fibre network, telecom towers across the country formed the backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK. The country formed the backbone of British communications. This tower was no different, playing a key role in the transmission of television programmes in Britain and around the world. When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
And I think that will just about do it.
Excellent, 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 Ranty. Hello?
Comments?
Well, while we're getting our mics all sorted and coming off mute, there is a Discord link in the info box below this live stream. So we have got a couple of people in Discord already, but hopefully I'll just check that Ranty's still with us. Can you see him in the icons? Is he still here?
No, he left.
He left. Oh, in that case, I'm not going to open up the public line because there's not a Ranty here to challenge in that regard. That's precisely what I didn't want to happen. But there we go, such is life.
You opening up for comments from the panel here?
No, I'm opening it. Oh, sorry, from the panel. Yes.
Yeah, I got a comment. Obviously, Ranty hasn't been keeping up to date with the ball-tards rhetoric, right? Because drop doesn't mean elevation, Ranty. What the hell are you thinking?
I don't want it.
You're way off base. See, we live on a level curve, sir.
No,
So,
not having it. Not having it.
I don't know
No. Just don't do that, please. I beg of you. Just give it as it is. Don't give the sarcastic globetard rebuttal, even though they're not here and Ranty's not here to address any remarks. I'm sure he'll address them on Monday on the Flat Earth debate. But basically, the demonstration of the elevation profile in Google Earth shows that it's flat. The engineer is saying that you've got direct line of sight, and the only thing they're having to clear is the topography itself. Both her testimony, the towers, and the map that's showing the elevation profile all say one thing. The Earth is flat.
I agree. I'm just getting you ready. It's the same thing that we deal with every day. They deny the 8 inches per mile squared vertical drop. It's a level curve. That's what they do. So I don't know.
Yeah, contradiction in terms isn't going to rebut this. Sorry. Anybody else on the panel got anything for remarks as opposed to comeback? Ranty will have to deal with that on Monday.
There. Go ahead.
I've got a couple. The first is what John was referring to there, and what I think in previous BALLBUSTERS with when we were talking about sea level and they were talking about its distance to the Earth. It's the reality of that explanation and having to change their straight line graph, which they argued was just a distance to the Earth, to apply it to that situation forces them not to have a straight line x-axis. It forces them to actually put it in, and it's that example that shows the ridiculum of what would be line of sight as affected, and it's that they were mathematically correct with regards to the x-axis, just taking it as sea level. You could mitigate for that, but to then put it into that scenario, it's impossible not to either apply the numbers to the graph output or to adjust the x-axis. Either way, it shows that there's no line of sight. That's my plus point. The negative one is you kind of need Rob Durham for this, because he's done it with radio and microwave stuff. I know he's doing it with FE Core, and they've been testing long distance stuff. And you'll like this, I think, Nathan, because it's not 7/6R, but there I can't remember exactly what it is, but it has got another magical R in there. It was something like 3/3/4 R, but apparently because of the ionosphere, radio and microwaves bend in a, not the same way, but in a similar sort of fashion as they travel across the Earth, is part of the mitigation for some of the odd distances that you do see with regards to radio and that transmission.
And I'd like that because presumably the rebuttal to any claim in that regard is, oh, that's very interesting, let's define terms. What's this R value and where did it come from? So yeah, they'd need to prove R to have it in their equation to beg the question and get around the fact that they don't have a direct line of sight by bending the radio waves in this case. Yeah, prove R. Yeah, good input, Adam. Did you want to make a conclusion though? Because I want to keep these demonstrations with a succinct and concise conclusion from people on our side of the argument. And while you've given both sides in a detailed way, I want you to dumb it down a bit and give a conclusion, if you don't mind, Adam.
I think, put simply, you've got to deny reality. If you were a baller, you've got to ignore the argument you were given in the previous Ballbusters with regards to the graphs that are on Google Earth and how they're applied and what they mean, because in no sentient person, unless they're going to deny the reality of those telecom towers and the reality of what the experts said, can't have that with that level of drop that has to exist in your fantasy world.
And therefore...
Stop leading me, I don't know.
And therefore it's flat as a pancake. There's no drop. The Earth's a plane. We're not on a ball.
That's bleeding obvious. I didn't need to say that.
It's not. It's not. Sorry to drag this out, right? So I had Robin Poe on about 4 years ago talking about a 115-mile radio transmission that she hooked up over in Ferrari in Italy. And her superior came down to her and came down on a ton of bricks. I don't like it, he said, when she basically pointed the transmitter back at the point source, at the main transmitter, or transceiver, whichever the case may be. And she got a perfect signal. Now, the book says do it with 30-mile relays. She got a 115-mile connection, crystal clear, where all the relays she couldn't get to work because of all the topography in the way. And they said, take it down, I don't like it. Now, she didn't make a conclusion. Now, sorry to bring my family into this, but I showed the video to my mother, and she didn't get it. Because when it came to the point that she said, I got a 115-mile connection, she sort of laughed. Because to her, and to me, it's bleeding obvious what she's saying. But not necessarily to the audience. You have got to actually lay it out in words of one syllable and say, this means it's flat.
Well, okay. If I'm going to be geeky boy then, this means in no way, shape or form could this transmission be occurring across a supposed ball of circumference 25,000 miles. It's just impossible because of the 2 kilometer drop. It has to be, as you see it, as it is, observably and obviously flat.
Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate it. Paula, do you go next?
Yeah, in the chat, they kept saying, repeaters. They're using repeaters. They have repeaters in them. It's like, what part of line of sight isn't clear? I mean, you don't need repeaters if you have line of sight and you have a strong enough signal. And that's why they built them as high as they did, to get line of sight. And they had enough power to get from one tower to the next. That was the whole point. If they needed repeaters, they wouldn't have had to make the towers that tall. So I don't know how repeaters debunks anything that was said in that video.
I didn't know that was being said in the chat, so perfect. So yeah, go and check out Flat Earth UK number 4, I believe, with Robin Poe. And that's precisely what she's detailing. The fact that the book says use repeaters, but there wasn't any necessity. She got a perfect line of sight without any earth curve obstruction. Flat plane. Simple. Betty?
Yeah, I think that everything is pretty much said. So yeah, they don't build these towers that high and on high points. So yeah, they want to have connection with each other. So I think that's Ranty made a great video.
Is there anybody else on Ballbusters that's joined that I haven't spotted? I don't have a list when the screen's not up. If not, we've heard from Johnny Globehead QE. Any chance you can put a positive remark against it, please?
That was a positive remark. Like I said, it went back the same old thing that we've been talking about for weeks. They deny the quintessential tenet of their religion, drop. They think it's a level curve. That's what it really comes down to at this point. It's not a level curve because those are contradictions, and the Earth is flat. Moreover, the next presentation is going to be talking about, guess what? Line of sight with radio frequency transmission. Get ready.
You're on screen. We're ready to go.
We're ready right now?
Yep.
The Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile, ESSM Block 1. Here's a picture of it, folks. And the most important thing in this picture, let me circle it over here again. You see this little contraption down here? These are the target illuminators. Guess what they're shooting out? Pencil beams of RF radio frequency. And it must have line of sight. Love it. Target illuminators. I don't care where this missile is. This is the argument right here. General characteristics. This is from the Navy itself. .mil. Primary functions: surface to air and surface to surface radar guided missile. If you guys catch that, let me say it again. Primary function: surface to air and surface to surface radar guided missile. Bistatic semi-active seekers in the nose of a missile receive a reflected signal from a target that is being illuminated with an RF signal transmitted from a fire control radar on a standoff platform. For example, aircraft or ship. Now, in our example, it's a ship because we're talking about surface to surface and surface to air. Such systems require that the platform maintain line of sight to the target until it is engaged by the missile. Ship-based missile, standard missile, SM, and the NATO Sea Sparrow AW missiles are examples of such semi-active mode. The NATO Sea Sparrow requires a constant signal for homing. The range of the missile is more than 35 miles. So we have the target being illuminated with a 2-degree RF radio frequency pencil beam, which has to be maintained, that is, painted on the target until detonation. At a more than generous 50 feet elevation above sea level, that's the target illumination radar height, the target should be hidden behind 463 feet of curvature. Therefore, please explain how you can have line of sight 35 miles away on a spinning ball by showing how a 2-degree RF pencil beam can penetrate 463 feet, that's 141 meters of target hidden height, through a wall of water 26 miles in length. P.S. The 35 miles is lowballing. The official max effective range is classified. It's much, much greater than 35 miles. So, either A or B, the evolved Sea Sparrow missile, ESSM Block 1 exists, or the spinning ball religion exists. Both can't be true. This is a true dichotomy. Simple logic, a disjunctive syllogism. Both can't be true. The end. The knighted spinning ball space monkeys live in a fairy tale. See if you can follow this. The range of the ESSM Block 1 is 50 kilometers. Actually, like I said, it's much further. It's classified. Number 2, the target must be illuminated by an RF pencil beam via target illumination radar on the launch ship for the weapon system to engage. Ergo, it must have line of sight. Number 3, the target illumination radar and the ESSM Block 1 must be on the same launch ship. We're going to talk about that here in a few seconds. Number 4, surface targets, ships, and this includes sea skimmers. That's its primary mission. Missiles that are coming at it from 10 to 30 feet off the deck or off sea level are engaged by the ESSM Block 1 from launch ships. Number 5, the horizon at 50 feet elevation, according to the curve calculators, begging the question, by the way, is 8.65 miles. Ergo, the limit of line of sight on a sphere is 8.65 miles at that elevation. Number 6, if the ESSM Block 1 can engage surface targets from ships at anything greater than 8.65 miles or 13.9 kilometers, and it most assuredly can, then the Earth must be flat. The prosecution rests simple. They live in a fairy tale. The end. So the comeback. But the missile and the target illumination radar don't have to be on the same ship, QE. Factually incorrect from Raytheon. Unlike the RIM-7 Sea Sparrow missile and the ESSM Block 1, what we're talking about, Block 2's active seeker will support terminal engagement without the launch ship's target illumination radars. Between the semi-active mode capabilities that the Block 1 brings and the active capabilities that the Block 2 will bring, the consortium's warfighters will have the best of both worlds when it comes to ship self-defenses. Do you see what this means up here? This means that the RIM-7 and the ESSM Block 1 must have the target illumination radar and the missile on the launch ship, because it's creating a juxtaposition between the Block 2 and the ESSM Block 1 and the RIM-7. You see that? The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, this is from the government, docs.house.gov. The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, ESSM Block 2, an improved short-range missile, ship-based missile that counters attacks by multiple cruise missiles at low altitude, as well as adversary jamming and the radar deception. It will be fielded in 2020 with 80 missiles going to the fleet. So, please tell me how the ESSM Block 1 has been engaging surface-based targets at more than 50 kilometers with the target illumination radars on the launch ships for the past 15 years, right? Because 2020, according to my watch, hasn't come yet, right? It's not here. The first production of the ESSM was delivered in late 2002 to the U.S. Navy by Raytheon Missile Systems and has been in full operational use in the Navy in the U.S. since 2004. And that's from Navy.mil. Kaboom! The highly venerated fairy tale spinning ball space monkey religion just crashed and burned with such ferocity it would make Steve Austin's $6 Million Man Crash and Burn look like a fender bender. Comments, questions?
As I say, there's a link in the info box below this video if you want to join. There is a couple of people in Discord and we'll come to them after we've had the opinions of the people on the panel. Absolutely awesome. Love it every time. Similar to Ranty's. Very cool. Who wants to go first? Betty, I nominate you.
Oh my god. Well, thanks. Yeah, I've heard of this proof a couple of times, and they always come back that John cherry picks from all these sources, but then every time he has a defense, but people don't tend to read correctly. I think that it doesn't say it directly, but it says it indirectly, right, John? If you scroll up a little bit.
What's the problem? Go ahead. Where at?
There's no problem, but the fact is that they cherry pick. They think that you cherry picked things out of these.
They don't know what cherry picking means. What do they say I'm cherry picking?
Well, it's a bit about the thing of the line of sight and stuff that they say it is
I'm with you on that bit, Betty. That was going to be my comment. He annoys me sometimes, John, doesn't he? Because I'm sat here and I'm reading it and put my analytical head on and I'm thinking, actually, doesn't actually specifically state that the painting of the target is coming from that specific ship. I thought, I'll ask him that in a minute. And then he scrolls down and smashes it. So, yeah, nice, mate, because I'd seen that before and I've not bothered to look into the exact detail of what he'd said. But like I say, I thought I'd pick fault, but then you kick me in the nuts, you annoying git. So, well,
that's what I do.
Yeah,
cool.
but also the sentence, but that you had without. You have the block 1 and then the block 2 that says something different, that you don't have that radar signal on the ship, right? There you go. Yeah. But they cannot. Like, they read that differently somehow, I think.
I don't know how you can read it differently. It's black and white.
Yeah, I know, but they want to see it directly. They want to see directly that it's either there or it isn't.
Yeah, this is too easy to reconcile. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hold on a second. Let's see if we can. I have a couple other things. Let's see.
Well, just before you do, you got any remarks, Paula?
No, nothing to add. Just watching the chat the whole time, just claiming that every single detail that he went over was wrong in some way, but there are too many to list. But I mean, they didn't care that, oh, if you took some bit of information from this site and some from that site, as if that matters. It's all the government, right? It's their ships, and they're not going to put everything in one spot necessarily, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. So there you go.
I got another good one right here. Let me read this from Missile Threat, CIS.org. The Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile. Now, this is talking about the Block 2. Currently in development is the Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile Block 2, which is expected to feature an active guidance system that both sends and receives EM signals to improve its flight. This active guidance system will reduce the ESSM's dependence on ship-based illuminator guidance systems. Turn out the lights, the party's over. Such as the U.S. Navy's SPG-62 radar. Illuminators bounce EM signals off targets to paint them to provide terminal guidance for the interceptor. It's over. Thank you very much. I'll be in the area all week. Have a nice day.
I think we have a contender in Discord that wants to maybe say something about that.
Yeah, we'll come to Discord. We will come to Discord in just one moment once John's wrapped up. But I'm going to shout out a couple of super chats, specifically the one from JG. It says, Raytheon still never been sued for misstating specs of ESSM Block 1 by the dozens of countries that have purchased them. Interesting point. Thank you very much for your super chat. Also, a shout out to Joshua Doyle again, who says, Globe destroyed. That came just after Auntie's presentation. Wholeheartedly agree. Thank you very much for the super chat, both JQ and Joshua Doyle. Okay, so should we move to the Discord server, or did you have something else, John?
No, I got citations till the cows come home. I don't need them. All I needed that one from the one above, but they're toast. It's over. But go ahead.
Okay, well, I think Zanic's been in the live stream the longest, so if we go in reverse order and go to Zanic first. So let's see if we can hear him first of all. How are you doing, Zanic? Can you hear us?
I gotcha.
Hello, welcome. Did you have a question?
So are we taking into account, with Earth curvature, are we taking into account what is the drop comparison to what actually is hidden? So the destroyer with a 150-foot observation deck, and especially on line or on ground, on land target being 300 to 500 feet above sea level, it'd be very easy to keep line of sight going with that type of target.
How so?
Both conditions are wrong. What are you looking at? Some other presentation?
Well, just let him explain. How so? If you've got a wall of Earth
you just
curve.
mentioned that the line of sight can't be kept because you're going through 800 foot of Earth curvature. But are you talking about drop, or are you talking about what's hidden?
We're talking about the Earth curve obstruction between you and the thing on the other side of it that's dropped away from the position of the boat that's painting the target and has got line of sight. So what I understand is,
so that means
how so?
That means we're talking about hidden, which is different than drop. So if we're looking at a 500,
sorry, Zanik. Sorry, just
hold on a second. Hold on a second. He said that the illuminators were 150 feet high, and the surface target height was 350 meters, if I'm not mistaken. Where'd you dream that up?
I said feet. Both the cases were feet. Observation deck, 150 feet. On land target can be over 300 or 400 feet easy.
No. They're not 150 feet, Holmes. You saying this is 150 feet off the water? The target illuminator?
Yeah, many of the radar or observation equipment is over 150 feet above.
No. The search radars are that high. The illuminators aren't. There's a picture of it right here. You sharing my screen?
You'll have to check the live stream, Zanik. It's on screen now for the audience.
All right,
this isn't 150
at the gun height.
Yeah, we're not. This isn't a search radar, son. These are target illuminators. Let me see if I can get another picture of it. Wait 1 second. So you just dream those numbers up.
No. If you're going on land, you're not going to find targets that are right on the beach. You're probably
we're talking about sea skimmers,
okay, both of you,
son.
hold on. So it's just like the debate, Zanik. Claim, support. So, do you want to give us a citation that says that these target illumination radars are 150 feet above water?
Everyone can agree that targets on land are going to be more than sea level.
Just let
right?
me finish my
How high
statement,
above
Zanik.
cities are
Zanik,
500
can I
feet
finish
above
my
sea level.
statement, please? Do you mind? Do you
Official
have a
statement.
Do you mind?
Cities.
Do you mind, Zanik? I'm going to ask
here's
whether you
an
like it or
official
not. If this
statement for you.
takes the next 10 minutes,
Cities
Zanik,
inland are greater than 300
Zanik, you're not going to rumpus the shit out of me. So please, if you don't mind, I will say my statement. Can you provide us with a citation that specifically states that the target illumination radar on the Block 1 ESSM missile from the Sea Sparrow are at 150 feet above the sea level? Thank you.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let me go do some research on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, right. Go get the citation and look at this picture right here. Is this 150 feet above sea level?
You tell me how high it is above sea level.
You tell me if it's at 150 feet. My cat is Ernest Borgnine. And
How much of the hull is
man, be quiet for a second. I'm not done yet.
Hold on.
He's just rumpusing
The
you.
surface target.
just-
Can you shut him up?
I'm going to close this line. He's just rumpusing every point you're making. And in this point, I'm going to take the opportunity to shout out S Angels. Imagine the missile onboard gyro trying to self-correct for curvature. Lol. Thank you for the super chat, 5 Angels. Go ahead, John. Try not to interrupt.
The main target for these sea sparrows, guess what they are? They're sea skimmers. The sea skimmers travel at 10 to 30 feet above sea level. Do you hear that? So the target height is 10 to 30 feet. Sorry, it wasn't 10 to 15, 10 to 30 feet for sea skimmers. So I don't know. You're just making shit up. You must come from MSU.
If they're sea skimmers, what are they using for guidance?
Depends. Did you not listen to the presentation?
Nope, he didn't.
Okay, right. I'm done with
No,
you.
I
Zanik.
did. You
No
talked
worries.
about two different types of guidance systems.
I'm done with you.
One
Zanik.
being line of
Yeah,
sight,
I'm done with you, Zanik. You didn't even listen to the presentation. That's blatantly obvious. So, who else we got? We got Wave Motion. How you doing? Can you hear us? This is your moment.
Come off mute and share your pain.
He's come off mute. Maybe he's got a microphone issue because he's not making any. His little ring's not moving along. We've got one other person in Discord. I'll leave you open, Wave Motion. If you do manage to sort your mic out, feel free to interrupt. Righteous Force, can you hear us? Did you have something to add?
I guess not much. I'm just checking the Discord, and I asked them to come and check the show to debunk these things. And the ballers say we've debunked all your arguments, so I guess that's it.
Yep, just a hand wave dismissal. It's either that or no, or nah, or you don't understand. So that's the top 4 now, right? Riveting. I mean, you guys are Rhodes Scholars. Must be friggin' pre-law. Stanford or Harvard. Joke.
Okay, I'm happy to move on.
I'd
Oh, go on, Adam.
I'd add, again, it's just a bit of maths to support the Sea Sparrow thing. And I'd say before, I think Zanik was talking about, oh, you can mitigate with the top of the ships being 150 foot high, whatever. But the picture clearly shows that the thing that's illuminating the target is underneath. You can see there, look. Now, let's just say that's 15 foot below where the missile's actually coming out. And you can see another platform behind. So let's say that's another 15 foot above. Now, that's 30 foot. Now, the difference between painting the target on the ball and painting the target on the flat earth where they're working is that 30 foot on a flat earth probably makes very, very little difference. We're talking about just perspective and detail. But if we're talking about painting the target across a supposed ball, then that 30 foot makes quite a difference. Now, if we say where it is now, say it's 50 foot above the water, then the geometric hidden is 303 feet. If we go up to say the 80 feet, it's 241 feet. So that's another 60 foot of any target. That if you were a ship, that's pretty much most of any small vessel that you actually would have disappeared. So if this was important for painting the target, i.e. if we were on a ball, I'm pretty sure the military would have sighted that thing just on another deck a little bit higher. But they haven't, and they can still maintain 30 plus mile distances.
Absolutely correct. If we were on a ball, this particular part of the mathematics would be absolutely critical. Not even taken. Not even an issue. Not even a concern. It just works. Any more for any more on Sea Sparrow missile? Let's do it. Coriolis. Just for the audience's benefit, again, you can join the Discord server. There's a link below, and you can challenge what's come up here. We're dropping anchor on this subject. It's going to be coming up more and more. So let's do it. Coriolis effect. Spinning ball Earth. Go ahead, QE.
Yeah, this thing's not spinning, folks. But like you said, we're dropping anchor here. So for the Coriolis effect to exist, you must have necessary conditions: 2 differing frames of reference, 1 rotating coordinate system that's non-inertial, the Earth, and 1 non-rotating coordinate system, inertial, the atmosphere, and anything in it. From Douglas Segar, Introduction to Ocean Sciences, Critical Concept Reminders, the Coriolis effect. When set in motion, freely moving objects, including air, that's atmosphere, and water masses, clouds, water vapor, move in straight paths while the Earth continues to rotate independently. Because freely moving objects are not carried with the Earth as it rotates, they are subject to an apparent deflection called the Coriolis effect. To an observer rotating with the Earth, freely moving objects that travel in a straight line appear to travel in a curved path on the Earth. So this is over right here, but we'll continue. In other words, anything not tethered to the Earth is freely moving. Number 2, the object in question, not physically attached to the rotating coordinate system, Earth, appears to deflect, i.e. if it moves independently of the rotating coordinate system from a vantage point anywhere on the rotating coordinate system, Earth. So if the Coriolis effect exists, and this is very important, with respect to the Earth, then a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles nonstop, traveling at 500 miles an hour airspeed, with both locations roughly the 35th degree north latitude, i.e. both allegedly spinning at 860 miles per hour, should be 1.5 hours. But it's approximately 4.5 hours. The Charlotte to Los Angeles flight, airspeed 500 miles an hour, ground speed 500 miles an hour, plus you have to take the rotation speed coming into its face because it's traveling west at 860 miles an hour. Alleged, like I said, the rotation speed equals 1,360 miles an hour. Simple math. Number 1, 2 differing frames of reference. We have the Earth and the atmosphere and everything in it. And number 2, the plane in the atmosphere is freely moving. That is, it's not attached to the rotating coordinate system and is flying in a straight path. In other words, based on the law of non-contradiction, each, the Coriolis effect with respect to the Earth and the Charlotte flight at 1.5 hours are either both true or both false. The flight is most assuredly false. Therefore, the Earth is not spinning. Ergo, the ball goes by way of the dodo bird, or you're a stationary ball geocentrist. Voila. The only way the above can be refuted is if you're of the position that the atmosphere spins with the Earth, right? Just pounding the Coriolis effect right in the chops. You got big problems. Because number 1, if you state this little crayon munching stuff, you have to face number 1. Please explain the Coriolis effect how it can exist when the necessary conditions for it to exist are two differing coordinate systems or reference frames. Like I said, one rotating non-inertial, the Earth, and one non-rotating inertial, the atmosphere, and everything in it. Let's take a look. We'll take a look at this again. I posted this 25, 30 times now. Let's just go ahead and read it. In the inertial frame of reference, the upper part, the black ball moves in a straight line. However, the observer, red dot, who is standing in the rotating non-inertial frame of reference, lower part of the picture, sees the object following a curved path due to the Coriolis. Just like I said with the multiple definitions just a few minutes before, right? The important things, the only thing that causes the Coriolis effect, the necessary conditions, are the inertial frame of reference and what else? The rotating non-inertial frame of reference, A and B, right? So all we see here is the ball moving through the inertial frame of reference, the atmosphere. It's going straight. However, the observer that's rotating in the rotating non-inertial frame of reference sees the ball as it's curving. It's only an apparent deflection. Why? Well, the ball's going straight, but the observer is curving, right? That's why. Moreover, can anyone show me an equator here? No. What about latitude and longitude lines? No. What about directions, north, south, east, and west? Did it say anything about these below here? No. It's tantamount to the reason why they don't put gummy bears down in here. Why? Because they have nothing whatsoever to do with the Coriolis effect. Nothing. If you bring up anything other than the inertial frame of reference and the rotating non-inertial frame of reference, it's nothing but a red herring fallacy. That's it. Any of your pressurized, open container, air pressure cabins, anything like that, anti-Coriolis paint, anything you bring up other than the inertial frame of reference and the rotating non-inertial frame of reference is just a simple red herring fallacy to the argument of the Coriolis effect. That's it. If you do, like I said before, if you do still hold to this nonsense, which we're going to pummel even further below, then you're in violation of the law of contradiction. And this is just the first one. We're going to start piling them up here. Number 2, show the experiment where gases or a gas rotate in lockstep with a rotating solid body just 5 centimeters above the surface, then provide the mechanism. You do understand that gases have no intermolecular bonds, right? Obviously rhetorical. So do gas molecules attach to the Earth and each other by Velcro, superglue, molasses, pixie dust, other? And gas molecules, crayon munchers, that is air, vibrate and move freely and randomly at high speeds. And we got a good visual for you retards. So, the University of Purdue. Let's take a look here. We got the microscopic view of gases over here. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like these things are attached to each other. So how could they spinning in lockstep in a certain direction while they're going many different directions at high speeds? Can you tell me that? Can you reconcile that? Next for your on card, can you reconcile married bachelors? Clowns. Question: how can gas molecules that make up the atmosphere that move freely and randomly at high speeds, yet, according to the intellectual elite baltards, rotate in unison, not moving freely and randomly at high speeds, with the Earth from west to east? Violation of the law of non-contradiction number 2. Number 3, please explain east, north, and south surface winds on a spinning ball that has an atmosphere that's air, wind, and gas rotating with it from west to east. Violation of the law of non-contradiction number 3. Bonus question: how can you have different wind speeds moving in different directions simultaneously at differing elevations of the atmosphere, all the while the atmospheres are collectively spinning east in unison, the same. So how can different be the same? Violation of the law of non-contradiction number 4, and married bachelors are blushing at this point. These are contradictory statements, these two right here. Number 1, the atmosphere spins with the Earth, and 2, the existence of east, north, and south surface winds. Which one of these do you think are false? You got to make a choice. It's one or the other. Not even bringing up the differing wind directions at differing elevations of the atmosphere, just this one. We'll keep it simple for you. Over. Moreover, following the Mensa Baller's yarn, every cubic nanometer of atmosphere traveling horizontally from the equator to the center of rotation must have differing tangential speeds. And every cubic nanometer of atmosphere rising elevation from each respective horizontal cubic nanometer of atmosphere must have differing tangential speeds. In fact, the higher the elevation, the faster they'll need to travel to keep up. And all of this rolling along at differing speeds in unison east. Again, violation of the law of non-contradiction number 5. This is so far beyond preposterous ludicrousness, absurdity, evolution, whatever that is, multiverses, and married bachelors are blushing. And does anyone know how far up this increasing speed, rope-a-dope fairy tale spinning atmosphere ends? I'd like to see that. It'll give a whole new meaning to guillotine wind shear. Goodness gracious, people. And like I said previously, are the gas molecules attached to each other by Velcro, superglue, pixie dust, molasses, other? And where is the energy coming from for the continuous shot in the arm injections needed to keep each successive cubic nanometer of atmosphere higher elevation brethren in tow? Alice in Wonderland is more tenable than the prestigious ball-tart spinning space monkey religion? The prosecution rests. Simple. You live in a fairy tale. The end. By the way, the noble spinning space monkeys are so confused at this point. The ICD-10F72 codes. The actual argument isn't that the Coriolis effect doesn't exist. We know it does. We've seen it on a merry-go-round. Or that planes are apparently deflecting. That's not our argument. Planes don't apparently deflect. Okay? Just to let you know. But anyway, the actual argument, like I said previously, with the wiki GIF, I'm using the Coriolis effect causes. That is, the conditions that afford the existence of the Coriolis effect, the two differing frames of reference, to pummel the spinning part of the exalted fairy tale spinning ball-tart space monkey religion. It follows like this. If the Coriolis effect is true, and we know it is, and if the Earth is rotating, which you knuckleheads purvey, then the Charlotte to LA flight at an airspeed of 500 miles an hour must be 1.5 hours. You can't get around this. It's not and never will be. Ergo, the Earth is not spinning. Like I said, one of my favorites, hurricanes. So you're saying that hurricanes spin in opposing directions in the northern versus southern hemispheres respectively due to the Coriolis effect, eh? I'd sure like some of the angel dust lace shrooms the distinguished space monkeys are snorting. We're gonna clobber this to death. Please focus on apparent deflection, not real, appears, does not actually in the following citations. Again, from Douglas Segar, Critical Concept Reminders. Because freely moving objects are not carried with the Earth as it rotates, they are subject to an apparent deflection. To an observer rotating with the Earth, freely moving objects that travel in a straight line appear to travel in a curved path. Are they actually traveling in a curved path? No, because it's an apparent deflection. From the University of Oregon, the effect of the Coriolis effect is, again, an apparent deflection of the path of an object that moves within a rotating coordinate system. The object, like I said, does not actually deviate from its path, but it appears to do so because of the motion of the coordinate system, right? The University of Florida parrots the same definition from the University of Oregon. Like I said, apparent deflection does not actually. It appears to do so, right? You guys following? Let's get a couple more. The Coriolis force is an imaginary force because objects affected by it are really following a straight path. It's echoing everything from above. It is an apparent deflection we see from the vantage point, frame of reference from the rotating Earth. And that's from the Utah State University. California State, the Coriolis effect describes, surprise, an apparent deflection, curving of an object traveling in a straight line. Let's finish it off. This should pretty much do it. From encyclopedia.com. Within its rotating coordinate system, the object acted on by the Coriolis effect appears to deflect off its path of motion. This deflection is not real. It only appears to happen because the coordinate system that establishes a frame of reference for the observer is also rotating, like we've shown you in the GIF above from Wiki and has echoed every single citation I've just given you. You see all these? Do you see the problem coming up? Here comes the punchline. Ballers, you need to turn away. Right? I predict projectile vomiting if you continue watching. So, what do we got here? We've all seen these before, right? I want you to, after this is over, I want you to call the local meteorologist and challenge them with this, right? We've all seen this, whether it's from the nightly news, whether it's from the Weather Channel, the 30 other weather channels that are on right now. We actually, important word, actually see these directions, right? Counterclockwise in northern hemisphere, right? Clockwise in the southern hemisphere. And there's some cross coverage, like I said, some northern hemisphere, they switch over. They're anomalous, but it does happen. That's not the important point. Don't lose the fact that we are seeing these actually spin, right? You see the problem? What does an actual spin counterclockwise or clockwise direction have to do with the Coriolis effect, which is an apparent deflection? Not real, appears, does not actually. What does that have to do with it? Answer key. Absolutely nothing. It's the exact opposite. I'm camping out right here. In other words, how can clouds be apparently deflecting actually? In other words, let me ask it again. It's so stupid. How can clouds be apparently deflecting actually? Come on, I want to hear the answers to this one. Violation of the law of non-contradiction on nuclear steroids. That's all I got to say about that. This is tantamount to giving a presentation on quantum numbers with excruciating details on S, P, D, and F orbitals. They're not orbitals, by the way. Then concluding that they are responsible for the creation of facultative anaerobe woodpeckers. Wake up, people. Time to rise and shine. Alice in Wonderland is more tenable than the highly decorated ball-tard spinning space monkey religion. The prosecution rests simple. You live in a fairy tale, the end. P.S. Let's finish it up with the folk called pendulum from plusmass.org. Once you set one in motion, its direction of swing will rotate at a rate of about 0.2 degrees every minute. But in fact, it isn't really the pendulum that's rotating. The pendulum is swinging back and forth in exactly the same direction. It's the Earth which is rotating underneath the pendulum, which makes it appear that the pendulum is in fact changing directions. So, I shouldn't have any questions on why I'm bringing this up, because for the past 10 minutes, we've been talking about this same scenario. What is this talking about? This is talking about the Coriolis effect, the two differing frames of reference. If that's true, if this is true, right, then why couldn't we just hover in a helicopter in North Carolina for 3 hours and catch a Dodger game? It's as simple as that. Number 2, if the Foucault pendulum is legit, which denotes 2 separate reference frames, that's the key here, right? We got 2 separate reference frames. We got the pendulum is swinging back and forth, and we have the Earth, which is rotating underneath the pendulum. 2 separate reference frames. This is the Coriolis effect, essentially. If the Foucault pendulum is legit, which denotes 2 separate reference frames, then guess what? Shocking. Get ready. Then a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles nonstop, traveling at 500 miles an hour airspeed. I know you heard this before. With both locations roughly at the 35th degree north latitude, that is, both allegedly spinning at 860 miles an hour, should be approximately 1.5 hours, but it's 4.5 hours. Charlotte to Los Angeles flight, airspeed's 500 miles an hour, the ground speed's 500 miles an hour, plus the rotating speed coming in its face we have to account for at 860 miles an hour alleged rotation speed. That equals 1,360 miles an hour. Distance between Charlotte, North Carolina and Los Angeles, 2,115 miles. Simple math. Flight time must be 1.5 hours. Actual flight time, 4.5 hours. Does this 1.5 hour flight time ever happen? No? Then say bye-bye now to the illustriously dignified and knighted Baltard spinning space monkey religion. Thanks for your ear. Have a nice day.
Excellent presentation. So what we're going to do next, another reminder for the people in the live stream that there is a link below. So if you do want to challenge anything that's come on, I think that's the final bit of the presentation from any of the Ballbusters people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ballbusters, but we'll get some opinions from you guys after I've shouted out some super chats. So let's do that now. Big, massive thank you again to Joshua Doyle. Or was it WayBMX first? Yes, it was. WayBMX saying Tim with I think a picture of a black woman and then a female sign. Makes no sense to me, WayBMX, but thank you very much indeed for the super chat. And Joshua Doyle, thank you very much indeed for smashing the super chat from the donating Russian bot. Okay, I'll take it. Thank you very much. Shout out to MC Universe. We are all just prisoners here of our own device. Yeah, welcome to the Hotel California, right? Shout out to... who was it? The Eagles, yeah. Anyway, shout out to Unicorn Laser Eyes for the super chat. He says, thanks for the... I can't read this with the glare on my face. The presentations. Hit the super chat, everyone. Thank you very much indeed, Unicorn Laser Eyes, for the super chat. And again, Joshua Doyle, haters gonna hate every dollar Nathan earns. Well, maybe, but thank you very much for the super chat, Joshua Doyle. Really appreciate it. Right, should we start with Paula? Are you there?
Yep. Not much to add, though. How many times can we say actual is not apparent? I can't think of another way to say it. I mean, you would think even intuitively, if somebody saw the wiki GIF of the ball on the roundabout, that's the same view you would have looking down on the two counter-rotating hurricanes. And so that, by even the most intuitive, simple definition, is not the Coriolis effect. You have to be on the roundabout to see it. So you can't look down on hurricanes to see them from the side. It's just impossible. But I don't know, again, how else we can say those things. But other than that, nothing really to add.
I mean, I've got one thing to add on the differing frames of reference as depicted in Wikipedia, but we'll come to that at the end. Do you want to go next, Betty?
Yeah, I still don't understand why people can't see this. I mean, if the Earth is turning underneath you, every time you jump up, you should for longer periods of time, not as we can do, but you should be able to see that, and the flight should be, one way should be shorter than the way back, or you would never even get back. I mean, I don't understand this, why these people don't get it, but they still do believe in the Foucault's pendulum. So it's a contradiction. It's double think. That's how I see it. But then again, yeah, we get all these arguments still, and they will never change. So it must be a belief, must be a religion, I think.
Yeah, Baltard spinning space monkey religion.
Absolutely, yeah.
You still here, Adam?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've probably got a long-winded one. John, can you just pull it back up and go to number 2? I agree with. There appears to be an inability to grasp the basics with regards to the roundabout and throwing a ball concepts, but when you get into the Geordie Hutty Ducks scumbag territory, they often present the Earth's rotating along with the Earth kind of nonsense to kind of muddy the waters and sort of word salad it out. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate the point that John showed in the presentation, and probably to use a bad analogy, what they're kind of suggesting is that if you've got a spinning top, for example, to kind of reverse it, and you're whipping that spinning top, you'll never get the top spinning at the speed that you get the whip going to generate it. But first and foremost, that's initially what they're suggesting, which is fine because both the whip and the top are solids. But John, if you can just scroll down to your molecular structure.
Is it the number? You said number 2? Is it this one?
Yeah. Just scroll down a little bit now to where the molecules behavior.
This one?
No. You know the little GIFs with the molecule behavior.
You want me to pull that up again?
Yeah, just that little GIF with the 3 different.
Okay. Nathan, can you get this on screen?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So, if you're then gonna say give all of that the whipping top analogy, and it requires billions of years of the Earth spinning to keep and generate this motion within the atmosphere, that's fine. If you look on the right hand side, you're whipping something that has some substance to whip. But if you were to take that same whip and run around your garden whipping it as much as you could, do you think you could generate any movement of those molecules represented on the left hand side? They're off on their own. As Nathan often describes, they're freely moving and independent. At best, your whip might grab a couple of million of them as you run around and whip it quickly, but you're never ever going to generate anything dynamic that would act on that system. And so, to summarize, as Nathan acted earlier, it ain't moving.
Have we got anybody else? I keep forgetting it's because Ranty's dropped. Is that it?
Is that good?
I think that's it. We'll go to the Discord server. And,
I thought you had something to add, Nathan. You were talking about.
Yeah, can you go back to your the picture from Wiki?
Yeah. Yep. Wait one.
No worries.
Get out of here. Hate that thing from Skype. They need to fix that.
I actually find it quite useful running the show. It's actually incredibly useful. Nevertheless, so in this description, it does not in any way allude to the atmosphere being attached to the rotating non-inertial reference frame. It just does not describe that. But that's the first go-to in the doublespeak. So when you come to the conclusion that you'd have these reduced travel times, their get-around or drone that doesn't have the Earth rotate underneath, as described in this description, they have their first jump to a single reference frame, which is they will assert, well, obviously the Earth and atmosphere are attached. Now, obviously that's just been ripped to shreds by both Adam and John, but my point is still valid in the regards to the description on screen. It doesn't allude to this roundabout having a force field around it and the molecules of air which are freely moving in all directions in the inertial reference frame. But in spite of that, it doesn't in any way allude to them being tied to the non-inertial reference frame. They're not. They can't be. They're gas. But that's what they'll describe. So I'll be looking forward to that. Maybe we'll get something from the Discord survey. That's all I needed from that Q.
Hey, Nathan, yeah. Listen, like I said, don't let these people red herring this thing, right? They're going to bring up all manner of stupidness, right? The inertial frame of reference and the rotating non-inertial frame of reference is the argument.
Okay.
Anything else, conservation of mass and conservation of energy. Anything else, friggin' the color of the planes, anything else is just nonsensical buffoonery. Doesn't have anything to do with this topic.
Okay, well, I've raised the mic on Beano. How you doing, Beano? Hopefully you can come off mute and say a quick hello.
Hello.
Hello, very good to have you.
Hello. Yeah, nice. I've been listening for quite a while now. It's very interesting. Not gonna lie.
Anything
people,
to add or question?
Seem to know your stuff and what you're talking about.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
a flat earther.
No, I suspected as much. That's okay though. We'll try wave motion again just to see if we do get anything out of him. We've not got a full panel, so it's not like I need to boot you to the after show stream if you're just here to listen. But ideally, we just want people in the live stream that will actually query or question what's going on.
We don't have a full panel in Discord. Why not?
I don't know. Maybe there's some sports event.
Weeks and weeks, we get hundreds of these crayon munchers, friggin' keyboard warriors. Well, now's the time. Come on, share your pain.
Did I actually shout out the people in Super Chat? I think there's just been another one. Joshua Joyle, thank you very much indeed for smashing the Super Chat so many times. I really, really do appreciate your support. Unicorns and leprechauns and dragons exist. I did the maths at Vinnie Mac.
Agreed.
A turd burglar. I should really read these in advance. Thank you very much anyway for the Super Chat. Right, we've also got Righteous Force in the... How you doing, Righteous? You got anything to add?
I guess I could read Puppy Lover's proof for Coriolis.
Sure.
He says bullet deflection, storm rotation, and maths. That's all I could get out of these guys.
Well, but bullets, again, this came up the last time the Coriolis effect was on, right? And it kind of frustrates me because the claim that bullets are being apparently deflected is akin to our argument when we debunk it with the aeroplane. So it's useful to tie a globe head down. If they assert it, I wouldn't assert it because it's absolute nonsense. You know, the snipers aren't accounting for the Earth rotating underneath their bullet after it's been fired. It's just complete hokum. Anyway, if it's asserted to you, they're essentially agreeing to the constituent parts needed to have Coriolis, which is to say that the Earth travels through the inertial reference frame and the non-inertial reference frame continues to rotate underneath, causing the apparent deflection of the bullet. Well, that's them conceding to those two reference frames, and if the Earth rotates underneath the bullet, as asserted by the fundies in the chat, then the Earth rotates underneath a drone, a helicopter, an aeroplane, and anything else in the inertial reference frame. So that's a big problem once you've got them to concede it. So I quite like Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that the ball is thrown from the footballer's hand and the Earth rotates underneath, causing the goalposts to move just enough for the ball to go in. Well, that's another assertion of the two separate reference frames. Well, if the Earth rotates underneath a ball, as asserted by pseudoscience practitioner Neil deGrasse Tyson, then it rotates underneath an aeroplane. And you end up with a necessity to have 1.5 hours from Charlotte, North Carolina to, where was it again?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. So there you go. And we don't. That's the bottom line. So it's useful, that bullet example, but I don't like it because it's simply not true. I'm not a sports fan, and it doesn't often come up. No one quotes Neil deGrasse Tyson. We use him as a hostile source. And just for anybody else who likes to accuse people of cherry picking and using references instead of citations, because we use Neil deGrasse Tyson's example of the Earth rotating underneath, precisely the assertion being made to have an Earth-based Coriolis effect, it doesn't mean that suddenly we agree with every single word spoken by Neil deGrasse Tyson. We simply use it to tie the globetard to the actual assertion being made, because in most instances they'll simply claim that the Earth does not rotate underneath and the atmosphere travels along with the Earth, even though that's physically and it's just impossible from any standpoint. But that's what they'll assert: magic force fields, Earth with atmosphere velcroed attached to it. But that doesn't give rise to the Coriolis effect. You don't have a Coriolis effect in that scenario. So it's totally bogged down in doublespeak, and it's knowing which bits that you want to actually latch on to, like the pendulum. The pendulum's a demonstration of two reference frames. I like that one because in most people's mind, they can undo the nonsense that is the original assertion you're using to get the globe head to concede two reference frames. So the pendulum, after the fact, can be disregarded for most people once the argument's done. In other words, you're not suddenly confirming to people that bullets have got an earth turning underneath them. They haven't. And the same applies to the pendulum. But it's their way, it's our way of getting them to concede the actual needed bits of the Coriolis to have it in the first instance, to then prove why it doesn't work. It's extremely convoluted. But to summarise and hopefully end for you, Righteous Force, when it comes to the Coriolis effect, it's very simple. You need a non-inertial and inertial reference frame. And as the ball, bullet, or anything claimed to be travelling through the inertial reference frame moves in a straight line, the non-inertial reference frame rotates underneath. That's as simple as it gets. Coriolis itself is incredibly simple. Most, if not everybody watching, can understand the simple concept of Coriolis effect or Coriolis force. But the application thereof to the Earth is clouded in bullshit and doublespeak, and it goes on and on and on. And I know Paula's favourite is probably the apparent slash actual deflection of hurricanes. And you're like, hang on, we're talking about an apparent deflection here. What's this hurricane being brought into the argument? It's absolutely ridiculous. But there we go. Hope that's brought a minor degree of clarity to people watching and addresses your point, Righteous Force, about bullets and snipers claims from the chat.
Oh, and if you haven't been keeping up to date, hold on a second, Righteous Force. If you haven't been keeping up to date, the ballers en masse have exiled Neil Smoking deGrasse Tyson and collectively have thrown him under the bus.
They don't like him. They don't like him confirming two reference frames. Is that why?
They don't like him at all.
Yeah, because it's only the high priests of pseudoscience in the heliocentric world that get away with the actual declaration that conforms to the definition in these instances. So in this case, you'll only find people like Neil deGrasse Tyson saying Coriolis as it is in the heliocentric world. He says it like it is. The ball travels through the air in a straight line, and the Earth rotates underneath. So in his tweet, he's calculating how much the Earth has rotated underneath to cause that football to go in the goal. So he's saying it like it is, but only he will get away with it as a high priest of pseudoscience, because he's not got me to say, oh yeah, so if the Earth rotates underneath, at however many degrees declared in your tweet, then why doesn't it rotate underneath the drone? And suddenly he'd be fumbling and crapping his pants because his example falls to pieces when you compare it to anything else in the non-inertial reference frame. But who's comparing it? His tweets are no doubt completely controlled and moderated, not by him, while he's watching a football game. So none of that stuff's ever going to stick if you even try to throw it at the wall. But here in the debate, they've got that to contend with always. That's going to be the first thing they come up against. So what do? Well, they've got to double speak it and decry the pseudoscience priest himself, even though he's really saying it like it is. You're not going to televise an incorrect assertion based on the Coriolis effect applicable to Earth as a sphere. That's not going to go on TV. They're not stupid. They're not going to have it easily debunked with a Google search and a wiki lookup like we've presented here with those two reference frames. He's got to make the Earth rotating underneath be part of that example if he's describing Coriolis in a tweet. You can be damn sure the people we debate won't be doing that, though. They'll talk about the atmosphere travelling along with it, because that's what's actually representative of reality. Not travelling atmosphere with Earth spinning, because that wouldn't give you Coriolis. Just no spinning, and Earth doing what it does, which is nothing in that regard, not spinning, and the atmosphere doing what it does, expanding randomly in all directions, the dynamic system creating all different directions of surface winds. None of these things are conducive with a spinning ball Earth. It's absolute horseshit. But here we are, with them saying that their force field of non-open, completely open system manages to give rise to a condition that won't give them Coriolis, and that's why we have Coriolis, according to globe cards.
Yeah. I can't believe it. You encapsulate it, man. It is absolute word salad, contradictory gibberish. And what I like to do to the flat earthers out there, go ahead and, like I said, go ahead and call your local meteorologist. I've written mine. You know what I got back? Crickets. That's what you're going to get. But challenge these people, man.
Well, speaking of word salad, I see Zanuck is unmuted.
Go ahead, Zanuck.
Wait. So I have a question. Does all of that mean that the Earth is not spinning?
That's correct. Thank you, Chocolate. You live up to your reputation precedes you. I should have done that, and here you are to do it in the most eloquent way as you do. So thank you. Yes, absolutely. The bloody conclusion. Let's not forget. All of this is demonstrating that the Earth is not spinning. We're not budging a smegging inch. None of the effects that would be generated by a spinning ball Earth are observed, and all examples given on the debate at this ground level will involve a set of circumstances that don't give you Coriolis effect, and the High Priest will declare that we have it, but it contradicts itself when it comes to air travel. All of this points to us not spinning. Thank you, Chocolate. Yes, nice summary. Right on cue.
No doubt.
And well done on Iron Realm Media, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, really well done.
Did you have a bone to pick with Chocolate? He's in the Discord server. He's effectively a member of the public right now.
I'd like to keep that private.
Oh, no problem.
We'll go 2-on-1 with him, Chocolate, if that's what's needed.
Might get it in the after show. We'll see how good the memory of
That's
the
like bringing
panelists.
the pigeons to the cat.
Okay, before we go to Zanuck, I'm going to do a couple more super chats. So, where were we? Joshua Doyle again. So, that shit is flat. NDGT. So, in quotes, that shit is flat. I'm not sure if he did actually say that. I'm sure it was that stuff. But there we go. A misquote from Joshua Doyle. But it's attached to a super chat, so thank you very much indeed. And then thank you very much for the super chat. Another retarded atheist talks word salad. What a screen name. Who says hamburger. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, that makes no sense, but thank you very much for the super chat. Also, a shout out to MC Universe. Thank you very much for the super chat. You wouldn't be at almost 900 if Globies were right. I don't really follow. Does anybody understand what that means? Wouldn't be at almost 900 if Globies were right.
Shows, maybe?
Maybe. Oh, 900 debates. Yeah, maybe that's what it's referenced to. Yes, thank you very much, MC Universe. Yeah, damn right. If there was some conclusive globe evidence, we wouldn't still be here. You know, we on the panel and most debaters, including Chocolate, who just spoke a moment ago, we all know it's flat. But, you know, there's plenty of people who don't, which is why there's 900 of them. But yeah, you're right. There wouldn't be any debates if there were conclusive proof of a sphere, and there isn't. That's the bottom line here. And this is typified by the demonstration of zero evidence of spinning, just a load of word salad. Good timing to Sick Bronx, S1K Bronx. Maybe I've butchered that. I'm sure it means something. But thank you very much for the super chat. So that's why NASA got a full mock-up of the ISS underwater, full of cameras and scuba divers, astronauts on wires, models, green/blue screen, CGI, and Disney. Makes sense. And then a smiling, laughing face. Yeah, check out Dilly Gill, my favourite videographer on YouTube in regards to debunking that particular aspect of NASA and their cinematography fakery. But DILLYGILL. And Dilly Gill has done in-depth analysis of what NASA do, how they do it, and I'll parrot some of his sentiments in the regards to NASA being on the absolute cutting edge of cinematography, like way in advance of what they have in Hollywood. You know, they are the cutting edge, and in terms of what they're presenting us, they're just simply playing their cards very close to their chest. But he went through a lot of the STS missions. His most popular video, I believe, is called "The Space Shuttle is a Zero-G Plane," and he goes through the whys and wherefores of producing both live footage for an audience and then after the fact CGI renderings for a wider televised audience. He goes through it in really great detail, but check out Dilly Gill on YouTube. He's an excellent YouTuber and he covers exactly that subject. My favourite. Well worth watching. I've watched every one of his videos at least twice. That's Dilly Gill. Right, Zanuck, did you want to add something? Alrighty then.
He might be having mic issues. Zach,
He might
leave
be.
and rejoin because his icon was flashing.
Not on server mute, is he, by accident? I'll just double check him. No, he's definitely not muted. He can talk. We might get a bit from Zanuck, so I'll do a quick shout out to the Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show, which goes out daily now at 10 p.m. UK time currently being 9:50 or 9:51 UK time. So in about 9 minutes from now, there will be a Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show on Nathan Oakley 1980. So be here or be sphere. We will be rounding out this particular show in 10 minutes, but as always, there is a link to the Discord server. It's active for about 24 hours, so if you're watching this on the re-up after the live show is over, then the link will stay live for about 24 hours if you do want to join the Discord server for future reference. But in the meantime, for the next 10 minutes at least, if you do want to challenge anything that's been said on Ballbusters so far, you are more than welcome to join the public link and express your views on the shape of the Earth, so long as it's specifically relevant to what Ranty or Quantum Eraser went through in this particular Ballbusters. Maybe start getting some closing remarks from the Ballbusters panel.
Nothing to add, really. It seems pretty clear to me.
We ain't spinning. I agree.
Yeah, nice proofs. Airtight.
Adam's normally got something to add.
Well, I was just musing. Rather than try and summarize, I'd probably try and summarize the whole thing when you get into Coriolis with people. And I tried to address one issue and a second issue, and they'll give a plausible, and it's a ballistic, and the airplane flight's different. And it doesn't really matter, because all of these things, when you address them, they provide another re-description of the Coriolis, reapply it, but it always contradicts whichever one you started out in the argument with them with. And it's one of the most frustrating arguments to ever have with ballers, because they flip-flap from one to the other, and it is total nonsense most of the time when you have Coriolis, as they try to support it one way then the other.
I agree. We have got a new member of Discord that's just joined, so I'll just do a quick shout out, and we may get some closing remarks from the public chat. We'll see. But shout out to Tony Marks for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed for your support. I really do appreciate it. He says, "Don't feel 800-mile east to west winds when I step outside, nor do I see clouds always moving in west to east direction with supposed spin. Only conclusion: FE is winning. We ain't spinning." I love it. Thank you very much for the super chat, Tony Marks. Really do appreciate your support. So, new guest. Sorry, I haven't got your name up. Let's go and get you. Can you hear us?
I like that, Nathan. FE is winning, we ain't spinning.
That's right.
I might ponce that in some bits in the future.
Yeah, that's class. I like it when the super chats are really well written, because it makes it nice and easy for me to read. So, XLR8, is it? How are you doing? Can you hear us? Excellent. Well, this is going swimmingly with the live with the live interaction. Maybe it'll be a bit better in the after show. We shall see. So, shout out to Yuya for the lollipop super chat. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much to everyone actually who's been supporting me via Patreon recently. It's been excellent. The support's been outstanding. Thank you. I'm overwhelmed with it. And again, to all the people in the Ballbusters live stream who've supported via super chat, I really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, again, a thanks to you, Yuya, for the lollipop. Huey, do you want to give us some rounding out comments, and then hopefully within the next 5 minutes we'll actually round out this show and move to the after show. I'll ask everyone watching on the Nathan Oakley channel to stay tuned, see if we can get your private discussion between Chocolate and yourself. We'll see.
Sure. This is my final roundup. Come off mute and share your pain. Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
JQ, can you hear us? And we've also got Boo. How you doing? Well, while people are messing around in the Discord server to sort out their audio, I will say, as I say, if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, there will be an after show to follow, so do stay tuned. I'm going to round out and thank the audience. It's typically where we get all the people piling in just as I round out the live show. Hey, good boy, how you doing? Can you hear us? Everyone's prepping for the after show when it's not live. So you get a really boring, slow, drawn out ending to the show as we say hello to people joining in Discord. No,
it's not bad. It's a screaming testimony of the Baltard's position. Thanks. We already knew, by the way.
Isn't that an argument from silence fallacy?
Say that one more time.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who have joined us live in the Nathan Oakley stream for smashing the super chat. Thanks again. And hopefully liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Stay tuned if you are watching on the Nathan Oakley stream, as there will be an after show to follow. A massive thank you to Paula, Betty, Quantum Eraser, Adam, and Ranty Flat Earth for making this Ballbusters panel possible. And again, a thank you to all of the people who joined us from the live audience in the Discord server. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next Ballbusters.